think of this as beta. The whole thing is beta. I'm not going to worry about production values or video quality. I'm just going to worry about, I'm not even worried so much about what I say yet. When it comes to me, I'm just going to say it. And as we go along, we'll refine it. It's an example of systems thinking over goal thinking. And we'll get to that in a couple minutes. I wanted to talk about, just to do a little housekeeping here, we talked about motor skills, and we've talked about the object of the game, and we've talked about how to improve, and we've talked about improvement as its own skill. And what we need to talk about, or I want to talk about, is learning. And what we know about learning is that we learn best when four concepts shape the lesson plan. The first is that we're all innately diverse. Anyone who's had more than one kid will tell you that from the word go, they're different. So not only can I not teach two people the same shot, I can't teach two people the same way. And you have to know that when you're working with people. The second aspect is that we're born to learn. If we weren't, we wouldn't have made it as a species. We come out ready to learn, and whether it's our immune system learning to deal with foreign pathogens, here I am in the third world, undoubtedly I encounter hundreds of new things every day that I never even knew I encountered, and in the background my immune system is working out the math on it. And the engine of all that, in the conscious field of learning, is curiosity. It's what shapes the lesson plan. If I'm curious, I'm going to follow through. I'm going to go see what's going on out there, because that's what keeps me learning. And the fourth concept is that we learn via mistakes. The great Niels Bohr, the physicist, said, it's a quote I use all the time, an expert is simply somebody who's made every possible mistake in a very narrow field. This is how we learn. And mistakes aren't things to be avoided. They're things to be championed. They're things to brag about, because this is how you learn. Now, it's not the best thing to make the same mistake 50 times in a row. That's not what I'm saying. But we often around the table at night talk about the mistakes we made, because these are valuable learning experiences. So, going back to the system, we want a lesson, or we want to teach in a way that incorporates these principles and also incorporates the principles of motor skills learning, the best principles of motor skills learning, specificity and contextual interference and variability, and come up with a plan that then it really puts together the best, most specific, most interesting lesson that we could put out there. But when you look around the fields and the gyms and the courts, for sure of America, you see kids in lines, waiting for instruction, progressions training, breaking a skill in little teeny parts, somebody hitting serves out of a hopper endlessly. This is block training. And it's what the great John Kessel from USA Volleyball pointed out. He said that despite the fact that we have all these advancements in our understanding, it doesn't seem to have changed our training one bit. And it's criminal, really. It's criminal. It's a form of malpractice to have this body of knowledge and to do that with people, because we know that it doesn't lead to much improvement. So, when we go to lessons, another concept I'll bring up here is that the guy who knows why, or the person who knows why, is better than the person who knows how. And we went through this a little bit already. How to hit a forehand. Okay, why? Because if you can keep the ball in play, you're not going to lose. Why beats how. You have to incorporate this into your training. What are you after? Why are you after it? You have to be able to move the goal closer to yourself. You can't be way out there hoping for wins. You bring it in closer. And your goals, I should say, you should learn to think in terms of systems as opposed to goals. If you want to be the number one player on your team, or if you want to be the number one player in your state, or if you want to be the number one player in your league or your club or wherever it is, or some number, not number one, a better player, then you put together a system where you follow it day after day after day, and it gets you where you are. I mean, a perfect example is somebody says, I want to lose 20 pounds. They lose it, great, and then they put it right back on. That's different than saying, I want to be 20 pounds lighter for the rest of my life. That's a system versus a goal. So we're trying to put together these systems for you to improve as a player. Knowing, as Bruce Lee figured out, when you look around the fields and the gyms and you see all this structure and order, that's not what the game is like. In his field, it was a street fight, as we've already talked about. Street fights don't have structure and order. It's some dude trying to get on top of you to beat the shit out of you. And you got to survive. You don't get to go like, whoa, wait, that was improper technique. You hit me in the head, your elbow, it was too far away from your body. You need to be in there a little closer. No, you're fighting for your life. And the same will be true on the court. The same will be true in any aspect of life. It doesn't matter if it was improper technique, because a let cord, miss-hit winner counts the same as the best shot ever hit on a tennis court. And these are the things that you got to percolate down inside and come up with a plan for how you want to be as a player. So the last concept for today, or for this video, is that every shot you hit has two and only two objectives. Number one, it's got to go in. It has absolutely got to go in. This is the number one objective of every shot you hit. And the second is number one. No, I'm kidding. The second is it's got to make it as hard for your opponent to do the same. It's got to be as difficult as possible for him to put it in play without compromising number one. Right? So when we talk about techniques, to me all this technical jargon is bullshit. It's your techniques, what you can survive with your game determines your level. So if you can handle 3-5 players or 4-0 players or 4-5 players, and by handle I mean you can survive the arsenal that they have. Okay, that is what your technique gets you. It gets you in the level. How well you do in that level boils down to your understanding, your information of the game. You see the difference? Your level, I mean, your technique. Let's say you're a 4-5 player. Okay, that's your technique. You can withstand the assault of 4-5 players. There's 10,000 4-5 players in the United States. Maybe there's 100,000. I don't know. But you're one of 10,000. How you do in that range of 10,000 or 100,000 players, that is determined by your understanding and the information that you bring to the court. That's what makes all the difference. So the two objectives: keep the ball in play, make it as difficult as possible for your opponent to do the same without compromising number one. Thank you for your time.